Welcome to MSC 695. This is a video series on financial institutions. This is the first video in that series on selecting the financial institutions. And we're going to cover a few things that I find important when making a selection of financial institutions. But first, let me give a disclaimer that this is for educational purposes. This is for a project. And before you try or get too in depth in any of these things, I would suggest that you contact a professional financial advisor that is certified to get correct guidance. That being said, we'll move forward. Financial institution is generally a bank, and when you go to, the reason you want a bank is you want to probably open a checking account so you have a safe place to keep your money. This is for people that are just either beginning the workforce, coming out of high school, maybe their first year in college. So the first thing you want to do is maybe open a checking account. So there's some important things to consider when opening a checking account, and one of those first things is you want to talk to the bank and ask them what kind of fees are associated with maintaining your checking account. A lot of times there's like a maintenance fee, and these maintenance fees are derived from a few different things. The first thing is a lot of banks require you to keep a minimum balance. Say, for instance, Bank of America, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's $500 minimum balance, so this way you don't have a maintenance fee on that account. Another thing they like to do is they like to see you having direct deposit. A lot of times if you don't have direct deposit, there'll also be a maintenance fee. The next thing I want to talk to you about is interest. Some checking accounts pay interest. A lot of those that pay interest generally require direct deposit. It's not a whole lot of money. It's probably less than 1% a year, but even so, if one financial institution offers you a little bit for keeping your money in their bank and another one doesn't, that's definitely something to keep into consideration. I know my bank doesn't require a minimum balance and pays me a little bit of interest, which is kind of nice. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is when you have a checking account, you're going to want to be able to get your money out or spend your money. And maybe you don't want to spend it in cash, so you want to write checks, right? So a lot of institutions now are going with free checking, but there's some caveats to that, and you want to ask the bank, is it really? Are the checks completely free? Some offer you free basic checks, but they also have options to get specialized checks, and a lot of times those are not free. So you want to find out about those. Is all the checks free, or is just standard checks free, and the specialized checks cost you a little money maybe? These are questions you want to ask. Some just charge you. No matter whether you have standard checks or specialized checks, they charge you. The price may vary, but there's always going to be a charge. Now, my bank offers free checks, but there is a caveat in there. They require that I cover shipping and handling, so the checks are not really free. The amount of its shipping and handling generally for most institutions covers a portion of the cost for actually producing the checks, if not all that cost. So you want to ask them about if shipping and handling is included if they give you free checks. Next thing is when you're opening is overdraft protection. So let me tell you a little bit about what overdraft protection is. Overdraft protection is, let's say that I'm at the grocery store and I ring us up at $120 worth of groceries, but I've only got $100 in my account. Well, overdraft protection is where the bank will go ahead and cover that $20 for me. Now, the thing is, they don't do it for free. They usually charge you a charge. And when they overdraft, it's usually they move money either from your savings account into that account to cover, or they put it against a credit card. These are important things to note. Now, when you're setting up a checking account, generally either you have an opt-in or an opt-out policy by the bank. An opt-in means that nobody's offered overdraft protection, that you actually have to ask the bank that you go ahead and put me in that program, and they will explain the fees at that time. Now, some banks are an automatic you have to opt out, which means when you open the account, you're automatically opted into overdraft protection. This one is much more important to find out if this is the case, because you don't want to overdraft and they cover it, and then they go ahead and charge you a fee, okay? So you want to ask this question about overdraft, whether it's opt-in or opt-out. Next is when you're putting money into your account, with the exception of direct deposit and cash, you're going to have maybe some funds availability issues. Now, what it means to have your funds available is, let's say you cash a check for $100, right? You want to know exactly when you're going to be able to take out and use that money, whether you're going to use it with your debit card, whether you're going to write a check, or whether you're going to take out cash. Now, a lot of banks will make small deposits available on the same day or the next day, and they'll make large deposits available within 9 days. These are things you want to make sure and understand, and get a copy of the policy and have the policy explained to you. Now, some banks, especially smaller community banks, have some different restrictions on funds availability, especially when you open a new account. They really may limit the amount of the immediate funds availability for new accounts up to maybe 30 to 45 days. You want to ask and find out what their policy is as far as opening new accounts, and if they have any funds availability restrictions that normally wouldn't apply to someone who's been banking at that institution for a while. I want to thank you for your time today, and I hope some of these tips will be helpful when you go open up a checking account at a financial institution. But the most important thing is to go ahead and ask lots of questions and make sure that all the disclosures are explained to you so that you understand. I look forward to our next video. I'll see you then.